All right, everyone, buckle up because today's deep dive is going to be meta, even for us. We're using your news feed, that's right, the EQAI morning briefing, to break down the stories that really matter.
You know, it's amazing how the EQAI briefing packed so much into such a tight format, but we're going beyond those headlines. We're going to connect market trends, political moves, even a little bit of space drama.
Oh, get ready to rethink what you thought you knew. AI ETFs, Warren Buffett feeling the heat, and oh yeah, how President Trump's policies could be sneaking up on your wallet. You ready?
I've got to cut through the noise and figure out why these stories deserve a second look.
Absolutely. So let's jump right into it with some market moves, starting with, oh, I don't know, something hotter than a phone with a Bitcoin app. AI ETFs. You know those funds that let you ride the AI wave? Everyone's talking about them.
Oh, yeah. Tempting, right? But here's a thought, and it might be counterintuitive. While these thematic ETFs promise big growth, studies show they rarely beat the market over time. It's like buying a ticket on a rocket ship that might just, putter out in the stratosphere.
So it's not just about jumping on the bandwagon. Got to be cautious. I like it almost makes investing feel responsible. Speaking of responsible, what happens when a titan like Berkshire Hathaway stumbles? Should we panic?
Berkshire Hathaway, longest losing streak in 15 years, definitely raising eyebrows. Could be a sign of overvaluation, meaning that stock price is a little more optimistic than the company's actual performance.
And that kind of links to the jitters we're seeing in the market at large, right? Like
Yeah.
when your friend's dog, who's usually super chill, starts acting weird, something's up.
Exactly. One company, their performance can ripple outward. Investor sentiment, impacting the entire market. It's all connected.
And speaking of things that make the market jittery, Fed rate cuts. Will they? Won't they? More importantly, what does good old Jim Cramer think? Asking for a friend, of course, who may or may not have a spreadsheet dedicated to this.
The speculation around a possible rate cut just shows how much power economic policy has. It's like giving the economy a shot of espresso might boost activity, but it could also make things, well, a little too jittery.
Cheaper loans, more spending, but, oh, inflation. Sounds like we're on an economic roller coaster.
And that's exactly why the experts are split. Some think a rate cut will calm those investors down. Others are worried it's going to be a wild ride. One thing the Fed's probably watching closely, inflation. Too much of a good thing. You know how it goes.
Okay, so we've got AI, question marks, market jitters, and the Fed might be playing economic Tetris. Before we spiral into financial anxiety, what's the takeaway for our listener who's just trying to, understand their own wallet?
Well, these stories show us something crucial, the market, not some abstract thing. It's driven by emotions, by decisions, by global events. We understand that interconnectedness, we can make some smarter financial choices.
Okay, we've made it through the market maze, but hold on to your wallets, folks, because we're diving into the political waters now. These decisions coming out of Washington, yeah, they might be closer to your bank account than you think.
From tax plans to the stock market, even the price of that new phone you've been wanting, politics has a way of, sneaking up on our wallets.
The EQI briefing mentioned some heat around President Trump's tax relief plan. Something about overtime pay and a potential $227 billion hit to income tax revenue over the next decade. That's a lot of zeros. What's the deal there?
Well, they're saying that while the plan wants to give workers more money, the way it handles overtime could actually mean less income tax revenue for the government down the line. Imagine trying to fill a bathtub with the drain half open.
You get some water in there, but you're losing a lot too.
Exactly, and it all ties into this bigger debate, right? Economic policy, government spending, how wealth gets well distributed. No simple answers, but we gotta understand what these decisions could lead to.
Speaking of consequences, the briefing mentioned something interesting. Trump's own stock, DJT, it's skyrocketing. Is this some next level strategy? How does this even make sense with everything else going on?
It's an interesting contrast, that's for sure. Remember that stock lockup period we talked about? The one where early investors can't sell their shares for a certain amount of time?
Right.
Well, that period just ended for DJT, and even with the market being kind of shaky, Trump decided not to sell.
So instead of cashing in, he's doubling down. Bold move, especially with all this uncertainty.
Exactly, and this is where psychology comes in, No matter his reasoning, his decision sends a message that influences other investors. It all goes back to what we were talking about before, those human emotions, powerful market force.
Okay, so from AI ETFs to presidential stock options, let's bring it back down to earth for a minute. Let's talk about something that affects us all. Shopping. The briefing mentioned tariffs. how those could lead to higher prices on everyday stuff? What's the connection there?
Think of tariffs like a wall, but for goods. Taxes placed on products coming from other countries. Usually the goal is to protect industries here, but sometimes those extra costs, well, they get passed down to us, the consumers.
So that new phone I want,
Hmm.
those sneakers I've been eyeing, those could all get more expensive because of these tariffs. International trade just got real.
Exactly. And the briefing actually highlighted an economist who's warning about this. Tariffs could affect everything, from everyday stuff to those little luxuries we like to treat ourselves to.
Okay, so let's recap. We've got this tax plan, maybe a little risky, a president who's playing stock market poker, and then this whole tariff thing threatening to increase prices on everything. It's enough to make you want to, I don't know, bury your head in the sand, or maybe your wallet. So for our listener trying to make sense of this whole politics and economics thing, what's the takeaway?
These stories, even though they seem separate, they're all connected. It shows how much political decisions can really affect us. The price of coffee, how our retirement funds are doing, even what's available at the store, it all matters.
So it's not just about Washington, it's about our wallets, our kitchen tables, even the aisles of our local grocery store.
Exactly. And once we get that, we can make smarter choices about our money, be more evolved citizens.
All right, we've tackled those market anxieties and jumped headfirst into the world of politics. Before we wrap up, though, one last stop.
Oh.
A journey beyond Earth, beyond expectations. Get ready for a whole new perspective. All right, Space Cadets, prepare for liftoff because we're jumping from, well, economic uncertainty to the final frontier, space. You'd think rocket science would be, immune to hiccups, but even spaceships need a little TLC every now and then.
It's true. The recent issues with Boeing's Storyliner capsule, they highlight just how complex space travel really is. Even with, cutting-edge technology, setbacks happen. It's part of pushing those boundaries.
Definitely a reality check. But you know what I find inspiring? That spirit of collaboration,
What?
SpaceX stepping in to get those astronauts home. And let's not forget astronaut Butch Wilmore. Talk about grace under pressure, right?
Absolutely. His resilience, it's incredible. Proof that we can adapt and overcome even when facing the unknown. And speaking of defying expectations, how about Jared Isaacman? High school dropout to, wait for it, billionaire space tourist. That's a movie montage right there.
Seriously, it's like he took all the themes from today,
Hmm.
taking risks, adapting, dreaming big, and just, I don't know, made it his own personal highlight reel.
Yeah.
But what can those of us who are, well, stuff on Earth, what can we take away from his journey?
I think it reminds us that the impossible, well, it might just be a matter of perspective, challenging assumptions, pushing those boundaries, believing we can do amazing things, even when the odds are stacked against us.
So as we prepare for landing, after this whirlwind tour of market trends, political moves, and a little space exploration, what's it all mean? What's the common thread for our listeners?
In a world overflowing with information, we have to learn to see the bigger picture, right? Connect those dots. When we understand that, well, we make better decisions, we face uncertainty with more confidence, and maybe, just maybe, we even allow ourselves to dream a little bigger.
And on that note, we leave you with this. In a world where every decision seems to impact us, how can you use that knowledge to create the future you want? The future that aligns with your values?
Something to think about.
This has been an incredible deep dive into the EquityAI morning briefing. Stay curious, stay informed, and keep exploring those connections. We'll see you next time. Keep those minds sharp.